Hello for the 26th week of the year. I've chosen Luke 16:19 to 31. The gospel, it's a parable. It's a parable Jesus gives to try to explain some things about life. And in that parable, it's Lazarus and a rich man. We call him Dives. Lazarus and Dives. And there's three interesting things about that parable. One is the sores and the dogs licking Lazarus's wounds and sores, and it's just wild. And the second is, that I find interesting, is this great chasm between Lazarus and Abraham and Dives, or the rich man, in the afterlife. And then finally, the wrap-up is, let me tell them about this place of doom and hell or whatever, and go tell them, if they don't listen to someone who rises from the dead, they won't listen to the person I would send. Well, I'd like to just zero in on one part of that, and that's the middle part, the great chasm. The analogy is good, the chasm between this world and the next world. And I think it is interesting because of what Abraham says. Abraham says, between us and you, a great chasm is established to prevent anyone from crossing who might wish to cross from our side to yours, or from your side to ours. You ever think about what happens when you check out and you go the other side? The other side of that chasm? Well, I do. I guess one of the reasons is because I have two brothers that are there, Paul and Dick, both deceased. I have two sisters, they're both very much alive, here on this side. If you see this picture up here, it's a picture of our family, and the two ends are my two brothers and myself, and my two sisters, and my stepmother and my dad. But my two brothers are deceased. My father is deceased. My stepmother in that picture is deceased. So it is Nancy and Sue and Larry. We're the only ones alive. And my two brothers, they don't come back and tell me anything, you know. They're on the other side. Indeed, there is that chasm, you know, along with my grandparents and parents and so forth. And we're all mixed. You know, in this world, there's a lot of people who are suffering the loss of people through gun violence, through wars, through accidents. There's a lot of hurting people that miss the person who is now on the other side. Well, what is that really like? To be honest, we really don't know. Nobody comes back. Well, yes, Jesus came back, and he told us something about the other side. Jesus rose from the dead, another Lazarus, and the son, the only son of the woman of Nain, but his friend has written nothing about coming back after being dead in the tomb for 3 days, or the only son has written nothing. And we do now hear, and people write books about, you know, they died and they were either in between or on the other side, and they came back, you know, on death and dying in that experience. And there's a lot of people who make up a lot of stuff too. We really do not know much. This past week I had a mass at the nursing home, Sayre Village Nursing Home, and one of the ladies in her 90s, you know, she says, Father, what will it be like on the other side, you know? Are we going to have a body like this? Are we going to have a soul or a spirit? I said, well, I'm sorry, but I have changed my insight. You know, as a kid, I used to think people would sort of pop up out of the grave and they get their best body form back. Now, I wonder. I guess some of my wonders is because of Jesus when he talks about the resurrection of the body. And he's the only one that really came back and talked about it. And at first, they didn't even recognize him. That's one. They were in locked places, and it says the doors being locked, there he was, and he stood in their midst. And they walked miles with him. They didn't even know who he was. Mary in the garden didn't know. So, different. Terribly different. Bottom line is, we're humans, and a human is a composite of spirit, or soul, and material and body. So, if we're going to have a resurrected body, we're going to have some type of material and spiritual or soul. I don't know what that's like. And so I said, well, you people here at their village, you know, you are in your 80s or whatever, and, you know, what body you want back? If you get one like the one you have right now, you want a young one? You know, some people are skinny, they want to be muscular. You know, people that are fat, they want to be thin. Ugly, you want to be beautiful. Make it up. We really don't know. But we do know a few things. You know, Jesus said, neither eye has seen or ear heard what the Heavenly Father has in store for you. That means we don't know much, do we? Or another part, he says, well, look, trust me. I'm going to go away. I'm going to go to my Father's house. In my Father's house there are many rooms, and I'm going to prepare a room for you. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to take you to be with me. For where I am, you are, or where you will be, I am. Pretty nice. You're going to be with Jesus, that we call heaven, body and spirit, on the other side. Let me give you one glimpse that I have a book. It's called The Art of Pausing. A friend of mine gave it to me, and it's like a meditation one day, but here's what it says. The meditation's for overworked and overwhelmed. I'm neither. I'm not overworked, and I'm not overwhelmed. But I find this an unbelievable. So it compares sort of that other side, or that great chasm, to a bird way up in the trees singing as the moment the sun comes over the horizon, and a little monk down in Gethsemane, down in the valley, looking up to the bird and hearing the melodious song as the bird sings of the rising sun. And here's the little meditation. I have to read it if I can find it. It is, in cooler weather, the appearance of the first crest of direct sunlight on the horizon corresponds closely to the beginning of bird song. If a bird starts to sing before the light, it is because he or she is perched high in a tree, can see the bright curve before I can. I like to think that the sun is the closest thing to God birds can fathom. They rejoice to announce the sun's appearance as if it marks a miracle in their day. Scientists have discovered that birds' eyes contain an extra cone beyond the three that we and other mammals have. Birds see colors we can't because their eyes absorb a wider range of light waves. And while I'm at it, how is it that such a great volume of sound comes out of such a small creature? Perhaps science will one day uncover the answer. Meanwhile, suffice it for us to appreciate the sound and colors of the day as only human can, even with the limited and unbird-like range of our senses. I sort of like that, where he says he thinks the bird looks at the sun as sort of the god in the beginning of the day and just totally rejoices in the rising sun. And here the little monk is down in the valley in the sort of dark, and the bird sees the sun coming over the hill. He doesn't. and he hears the joy in the bird. What is that all about? It's like the other side. The other side. You ever think about that very often? Have a good day.